The moment she froze, the cameras were already rolling. Dozens of crew members moved like quiet shadows across the soundstage. Spotlights buzzed overhead. Assistants whispered into earpieces. The air was thick with focus, nerves, and expectation. Anna. Armas stood in the center of it all, her heart pounding inside her chest. She had rehearsed the lines 100 times. In her hotel room, in the car, even in the hallway while waiting for makeup. She knew the scene by heart. And yet, at this moment, everything went blank. The director called action. Anna opened her mouth. Okay, nothing came out. A heavy silence fell across the set. The lights above seemed to burn hotter. The room closed in around her. Her hands trembled. At her sides, someone in the background coughed. Someone else shifted. It was just a few seconds, but it felt like forever. Her throat tightened. Her mind raced, trying to grab hold of any word, any syllable from the script. But all she could hear was her own heartbeat, and then just off camera he moved. Keanu Reeves, already in costume, was standing by waiting for his cue. He wasn't supposed to enter the scene yet. But the moment he saw Anna freeze, he stepped forward. He didn't speak. He didn't rush, simply walked to her side. Quiet, calm, steady. He placed his hand gently on her shoulder. Not in a dramatic way, not for attention, much just enough for her to feel it. To know she wasn't alone. Her eyes filled with tears, not from embarrassment, but from relief. No one had ever done that for her before, not on a big set. Not under the weight of perfection. Keanu didn't say a word. Instead, he looked into her eyes with something deeper than words, something that said, "I've been there. It's okay. Breathe." And so she did. She closed her eyes for one long second. Then she exhaled, slowly, shakily, and when she opened them again, the lines came back. Not perfectly. But they came, and the scene moved forward. The crew, sensing the quiet power of the moment, didn't interrupt. No one cut. No one reset. They let it happen. Organic, raw, real. When the director finally said cut, the room was silent again.
This
time, not from tension but awe. Anna turned to Keanu. She tried to thank him, but he only smiled and whispered, "We all forget sometimes. What matters is you remembered." That evening, someone from the crew uploaded a short clip of the moment. No music, no editing. Just the raw footage of Anna freezing and Keanu stepping in. The internet exploded. Within hours, the clip had been viewed over 10 million times. Comments poured in. This is real kindness. Keanu proves once again why he's different. The way he didn't try to save the scene, just supported her quietly. I'm in tears. The video wasn't flashy. There were no big stunts, no dramatic rescues. It's just a moment of pure humanity between two actors under pressure. And that moment became something more. What the internet didn't know yet, what Anna herself didn't fully realize, was that this moment would spark a change in her. A deeper change. Something that went beyond acting. This wasn't just a forgotten line. It was the beginning of something else, a shift, a rediscovery, a chance to face something inside her that had been building for a long time. But that would come later. For now, she went home, sat on the edge of her bed, and cried, not because she failed, but because someone gave her permission to be human again. Keanu didn't bring it up the next day. He didn't joke about it or praise himself. Just showed up on time. Same calm energy, same quiet smile. And Anna. She stood taller that morning. Something in her had started to heal. But there were still things to face. Fears she hadn't spoken out loud. Memories that returned in silence. And before the week was over, everything would be tested again. Only this time, it's on a live stage in front of millions. And the stakes would be far greater than forgotten lines. It would be about the truth she'd been hiding, and the strength she didn't know she had. And once again, Keanu would be there, not to speak for her, but to stand with her quietly, powerfully. Without ever taking the spotlight, this was only the beginning. The invitation she didn't expect. 3 days had passed since the clip went viral. Anna still didn't know how to feel about it. On one hand, she was grateful. Strangers from all over the world were sending kind messages. Fans said she inspired them. Actors said they felt seen. People called her brave. But on the other hand, she wasn't sure she deserved any of it. I didn't do anything brave, she whispered into her cup of tea that morning. I just froze. She sat alone by the window, wearing a hoodie, no makeup, her hair tied loosely. Outside, the sky was gray and soft rain tapped the glass. Inside her phone, hundreds of messages waited. Interview requests, articles, congratulations. She ignored them all. She kept replaying that moment in her head, how her body had locked up, how her chest had squeezed with panic, how ashamed she felt when her voice didn't come. And yet, Keanu single quotes. Hand, his silence, his calm eyes. That part stayed with her even more. She hadn't told anyone yet. But that moment reminded her of something from her past, from before the cameras, before the lights. Before Hollywood, she was just 13. She had joined a school play in Cuba, nervous but excited. But when the curtain rose, she froze there too, in front of her classmates, teachers, and her own parents. They laughed. Some whispered. A boy in the front row made a joke. She never forgot that feeling, not just the silence, the shame that followed. She had promised herself then, never again, never be weak, never let them see you afraid. And now here she was, grown up, successful, and it had happened again. But this time, instead of laughter, there was kindness, and that changed something in her. Later that evening, as she finally picked up her phone, one message stood out. It was from Keanu, not a long message. Just a few words. Hey, I know they want you on that live panel next week. If you're not feeling up to it, I can go instead. No pressure at all. Just let me know. Anna stared at the screen. The live panel. She had almost forgotten. It was scheduled for next Friday. It's a big international event with millions of viewers. The studio had asked her weeks ago if she'd speak. She had agreed back then, before the freeze, before the clip, before the world suddenly saw her most vulnerable moment. And now? No. She wasn't sure. Her finger hovered over the reply button. She could say no. She could disappear for a while, take a break, let someone else go. But then, another message came. This time, it was a voice note. It was from Keanu again. His voice was soft, gentle, almost like he was talking to a friend, not a co-star. Hey Anna, just so you know, you didn't mess up. Not even close. You were real. And people needed that. We all did. If you still want to speak at the panel, I'll be sitting right beside you. Not in front, not behind. Right beside. If you're there, I'm there. Anna felt tears rising. She hit play again. And again, then. She put the phone down and sat in silence. And for the first time in days, she smiled. The night before the panel, Anna couldn't sleep. She kept pacing in her living room. Her speech was ready simple. It's honest, not too long, but she was terrified. Not of forgetting lines again. Not even of judgment. She was afraid of being seen, not the actress, not the image, but the person. Because that's what the panel was really about. Vulnerability in the industry. Mental health. Pressure. The stories people don't usually tell in front of the cameras, and now the world expected her to tell one. She looked at her notes one last time, then turned off the lamp. Just show up, she whispered to herself. Just be honest. The next morning was bright. 2 bright cameras everywhere. Red carpet, reporters. Security. Anna arrived quietly, avoiding attention. But everyone saw her anyway. Flashbulbs, microphones, questions, but she didn't answer. She just walked forward until she saw him. Keanu was waiting backstage, dressed simple. Calm as always. He saw her before she saw him. And when their eyes met, he didn't wave. He didn't rush. He just smiled, reassuring, grounded like an anchor in the storm. Anna walked up slowly. You ready? He asked. Not really, she whispered. He nodded. Then we go in together. And they did. On stage, Anna sat to the left of the moderator. Keanu sat to her right, lights above, cameras in every direction, rows of people, millions watching live from their homes. The moderator smiled. Our next guest needs no introduction. But today, she's not here to act. She's here to speak her truth. Anna froze again, but only for a second. Then she looked to her right. Keanu wasn't looking at her. He was looking down at his hands, letting her have the moment. Stealing? No big gesture, just presence. Anna took a breath, and then she began. I thought about not coming today, she said. The room was quiet. I thought maybe I wasn't strong enough, or smart enough, or brave enough to speak after what happened. People leaned in, but then someone reminded me that being real is brave. She looked at Keanu just for a second. So, here I am, not perfect, not polished, but present. And with that, the room shifted. Applause rose soft at first, then stronger, but it wasn't loud because of fame. It was loud because of truth. And for the first time since the viral moment, Anna felt like more than an actress. She felt human in the world. Saw it too, but the story wasn't over. Because in the crowd, someone else was watching. Someone who had been part of her past. Someone she had never expected to see again. And their presence would change everything. The face in the crowd, Anna stepped off the stage with her heart pounding. The applause was still ringing in her ears, but she barely heard it. Her mind was spinning. Her hands were trembling slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of everything she had just released. She had spoken her truth, raw, unpolished, without a mask, and somehow, she was still standing. Keanu was waiting just a few feet away, holding a water bottle for her. No words, just a small, respectful smile. You did good, he said softly. Anna nodded. It's too full of emotion to speak. The hallway behind the stage was quiet. A few crew members passed by, offering polite congratulations. Anna forced a small smile, thanked them, and leaned against the wall to catch her breath. But then she saw him, a man, standing near the exit, not part of the staff, not wearing a pass. At first, she thought she was imagining things. His hair was grayer now, his face thinner, older. But his eyes, those eyes were the same. Her breath caught, her heart skipped. Double quotes, no. She whispered, almost inaudibly. Keanu noticed her freeze. He followed her gaze. His brows furrowed slightly. Anna, he asked gently, you okay? But she didn't answer. She was staring straight at the man who had once called her a failure. His name was Jorge. Back in Havana, he had been her drama teacher. Tough, respected, and known for pushing young students to their limits. When Anna had frozen during her school play, it was Jorge who told her she didn't belong on stage. Not kindly, not quietly. He said it in front of the whole class. If you can't speak when it matters, you shouldn't speak at all. She remembered every word, and for years, she believed them. Now here he was, standing near the stage where she had just poured out her soul. Anna's chest tightened. I need air, she mumbled. She turned and walked quickly toward the nearest exit. Keanu followed without question. They stepped outside into the alley behind the venue. Cool wind brushed past them. Cars passed distantly. For a few minutes, neither of them spoke. Anna leaned on the railing, staring at the sky. Keanu waited. Finally, she whispered, He's here, who? Keanu asked. Jorge. Keanu didn't speak. He simply listened. He used to be my teacher. When I froze on stage as a kid, he humiliated me, told me I wasn't good enough, told me I didn't deserve to be seen. Keanu nodded slowly, absorbing every word. And now, after all these years, after all the healing, he shows up today. Her voice broke slightly. Why now? Why this moment? Keanu took a breath. Maybe, he said softly, this is your moment, not his. Anna looked at him. What do you mean? You're not the same girl he hurt. You've grown. You've spoken. You've inspired millions. Maybe this moment isn't about him seeing you. Maybe it's about you seeing yourself. Anna's eyes filled with tears again, but these were different. Not tears of fear, but of recognition, of power, of reclaiming. Later that evening, Ina sat in her hotel room. She had changed into pajamas. Her hair was tied back. No cameras, no makeup. Just her, the city lights, and her thoughts. There was a knock on the door. Not a loud one. Soft, respectful. She opened it. It was Keanu. He held up a takeout bag. "They had that soup you like." "Right," said Anna, smiled gently, and stepped aside to let him in. They sat at the small table, eating quietly. No pressure to speak. But then Anna reached into her bag and pulled out an old photo. She handed it to him. It showed a young girl, her on a school stage, holding a script. "I kept this," she said. "Even after he made me feel small. I don't know why." Keanu looked at the photo for a long moment, because deep down, he said, you knew that girl would rise again. Anna wiped a tear. "Can I tell you something?" whispered. "Of course, I almost quit last year. Everything got too loud, too fake. I felt like I was disappearing." Keanu looked up. "What stopped you?" She smiled. "A fan letter. From a girl who said she saw herself in me, said she stuttered but wanted to act anyway. Said if I could do it, maybe she could too." Keanu nodded. "That's real," he said. Anna took a deep breath. "And now, after everything, I want to speak more, not just in films, not just lines, but for real. For those who freeze, for those who doubt." Keanu raised his glass of water, double quotes, to the ones who remember who they are. They clinked glasses the next morning. Anna made a decision. She would go back to the venue, not for the cameras, not for the fans, but to face him, Jorge, not to argue, not to accuse, just to stand in front of the person who once told her she wasn't. Enough and show him, without words, that she always was. And when she walked into the auditorium, he was there again, sitting alone. He looked up. Their eyes met. And then, something unexpected happened. Jorge stood. His eyes softened. And slowly he bowed his head. No words, no defense. Just humility, Anna. Didn't need more than that. Not anymore. She walked past him with peace in her heart, and as she stepped into the sunlight outside, something lifted. A weight she had carried since childhood was finally gone. But she had no idea that a new challenge was already waiting. A public event. A live error. And once again, the eyes of the world would be watching this time. The time not for what she would forget, but for what she would choose to say. The moment they tried to twist her words 12 weeks past, the internet had moved on, as it always does. But for Anna, something had changed forever. She felt lighter. Not because the pressure had disappeared, but because she had stopped pretending. It wasn't there. She was still nervous. Still human. Still healing. But now she was no longer hiding in quiet interviews and podcasts. She started speaking honestly about pressure, about shame, about the heavy silence that follows failure. She didn't rehearse those words. She just let them come, and people listened. Young actors, students, even teachers wrote in to thank. Her honesty was helping others step into the light, but just as the healing began to feel real, another storm came, one she didn't see coming. Anna was invited to speak at a global summit in New York. It was a major event broadcast live to over 50 countries. Artists, activists, and thinkers from around the world were attending. She wasn't going as an actress. She was going as a voice for those who struggle in silence. She wrote her speech. Herself simple, honest, powerful. But the night before the event, someone knocked on her hotel door. It was Maya, her publicist. She looked worried. "Anna, we have a problem," Maya said, stepping inside. "There's been a leak." Anna froze. "What kind of leak?" Maya handed her a tablet. On the screen was a headline from a gossip site. "Ana de Armas to expose Hollywood bullying and explosive. Live speech." Below that, a video clip heavily edited of Anna's earlier panel appearance. Her words were cut mid-sentence. The headline twisted her message into something at WASN. Since single quotes, Tiana felt her stomach turn. "I never said any of that." She whispered, "I know," Maya said. "But the internet doesn't wait for facts." And now, everyone's watching tomorrow for something dramatic. Anna put the tablet down. This wasn't what she wanted. She wasn't trying to cause scandal. She didn't want to attack anyone. She just wanted to be real, and now the world expected her to blow up the stage with some angry confession. She felt the old fear creeping back in. What if she froze again? What if she said the wrong thing? What if the truth got twisted again? Later that night, Keanu called. He had just landed in New York, I heard. He said, "You okay?" Anna didn't answer right away. "I'm scared," she finally whispered, not of speaking, but of being misunderstood. There was silence on the line for a moment. Then Keanu said, "You don't owe them drama. You don't owe them perfection. You owe them truth." "What if they twist it again?" she asked. "Then they do," he said. "You'll know what?" "You said, and the people who matter, ... they'll know too." Anna felt tears form again. He always knew how to bring her back to center. "Will you be there?" she asked quietly. "Already booked a seat front row," he said with a soft laugh. She smiled. "Thank you." "No," he said. "Thank you. You're showing people what courage really looks like." The next morning was chaos. Cameras everywhere. Reporters shouting questions. "Are you going to name names? What will you reveal on stage?" Anna ignored them all. She walked into the building with calm steps, holding her speech tightly in her hand. But inside, her heart was pounding as she stood backstage waiting for her name to be called. A part of her wanted to run, but then she saw him, Keanu already seated. His eyes found hers. Instantly, he gave no dramatic wave, no big smile, just a small nod, a silent promise. "I'm here." When Anna stepped on stage, crowd went silent. She stood at the podium, adjusted the mic, and looked out so many eyes. Some kind, some curious, some expecting a scandal. She took a slow breath and began. "I was told not to say too much today," she said. A ripple of attention swept through the room. "Was warned that people might twist my words, that being honest could be risky." A few phones were lifted. Cameras zoomed in. "But here's what I've learned. Silence doesn't protect you. It just hides the truth from the people who need to hear it." She paused, then added, "And I know what it feels like to freeze, to stand in front of the world and forget who you are. But I also know what it feels like, ... to be reminded." She looked straight at Keanu, and for that, I will always be grateful. Gasps moved through the audience, not because of drama, but because of the truth. In her voice, Anna continued, "This isn't about revenge. It's about release. It's about letting go of the fear that kept me small, and reminding anyone who feels broken or forgotten you are not alone." Soft claps began, but she wasn't finished. "If they twist this," she said gently, "let them. I don't speak to be praised. I speak to connect. And if even one person watching right now feels seen, ... then it was worth it." The clapping grew louder. Some people stood, others wiped their eyes. Anna stepped back from the mic and gave a slight bow. And just before she walked off stage, she looked at Keanu again. He stood up quietly, his eyes filled with pride. He didn't cheer, he simply placed his hand over his heart. A quiet salute to courage, to truth, to the moment that would not be twisted. After the event, the internet lit up again. But this time the headlines were different. "Anna speaks with grace, not rage, and wins the world." Keanu's quiet gesture says more than words ever could. Millions shared clips of her speech, not because she exposed someone, but because she stood tall in a storm, didn't flinch. But something even bigger was coming, eh? Letter from someone who had once made her cry. A name from her past, a twist. No one expected, and it would take everything in Anna to decide what to do next. The letter that reopened the wound. Anna sat alone in her hotel room. The summit was over. Her speech was everywhere. People had written essays, made reaction videos, sent gifts. She should have felt proud, whole, strong, but instead, she felt still, not heavy, not sad. Just still, like something was waiting to happen. Her phone buzzed. Not a text, not a call. Just a message from the front desk. Ms. de Armas, you have a letter. Hand-delivered. No return address. Should we bring it up, Anna? Hesitated. A letter? Who even sent letters anymore? She replied. Yes, bring it. 10 minutes later, a knock. The staff member handed her a plain envelope, cream-colored, no markings, no logo. Her name was written, in delicate handwriting across the front, just her first name, Anna. She sat on the couch, legs curled beneath her, and stared at the envelope. For some reason, her hands were shaking finally. She opened it. The paper inside was folded neatly. She unfolded it slowly and began to read. Dear Anna, I don't know if you remember me, but I remember you. I was the girl sitting behind you during that school play in Havana, the day you froze, the day Mr. Jorge said those awful things. I never forgot that day, not because of your mistake, but because of what happened afterward. After he humiliated you, I saw you crying near the back steps. And I wanted to speak to you. I tell you I thought you were brave, but I didn't. I was too afraid. Silent. And I've lived with that silence ever since. Years later, I saw you in a movie. I cried. Not because you were famous, but because you made it. Because the girl who was shamed in front of us all became a light for the world. And then, I saw your speech last night, and I cried again, this time not from guilt, but from hope. You said something during your talk about remembering who you are. I think I forgot who I was too, until I saw you again. So, I'm writing to say thank you, and I'm sorry. Not for what I did, but for what I didn't do. I should have stood up, even if just to sit beside you. I'm doing it now, in words. I don't expect a reply. I just hope you feel the hand that should have been there that day with love. Nataliana read the letter twice, then 3 times, then folded it carefully and placed it. On the table, her throat tightened. She stared out the window. The city lights. Below blurred as tears filled her eyes. She whispered, I remember you. 'Cause she did. Natalia, quiet, kind, always drawing in her notebook, Anna. Had forgotten her name, but not her presence. And now, she was here again. Not in body, but in courage. Keanu knocked on her door later that night. She didn't speak much. She just handed him the letter. He read it slowly. When he finished, he looked at her. You changed someone's life, he said. Anna nodded, barely holding back tears. I didn't even know, she said. I was just trying to survive. Keanu sat beside her sometimes. He said gently, survival is the greatest gift we can give others. Anna looked down at her hands. She said she was sorry. She didn't need to, Keanu said. I know, Anna replied. But, it still helped. He nodded. Sometimes the words we never expected are the ones that heal us the most. Leaned back, the letter still resting between them. I want to find her, she said softly. You will, Keanu said. I want to tell her thank you, Anna whispered. Because now, I don't feel alone in that memory anymore. Keanu smiled. You never were, he said. But now, you know it. The next day, Anna did something unexpected. She asked to go back to her old school in Havana. No press, no cameras, just her. She walked through the same courtyard she had once stood shaking with fear. The buildings were older now. The paint was peeling in places, but the feeling, the memory was still there. She found the old stage dut, empty, dusty, quiet, and she stood on it again. Not to perform, not to speak, just to feel. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. This time, there was no audience, no judgment, no teacher's glare, just sunlight through broken windows, and silence. But this silence was gentle now, not crushing, healing. Anna left a small note on the stage floor, just 3 words, I forgive you. Then she walked out, lighter, stronger, whole. When she returned to Los Angeles, there was a surprise. Waiting a letter, this time with a return address, from Natalia. It had taken time, but they had found each other. The second letter was short. I watched your visit to the school. I know you didn't do it for anyone but yourself, but I was watching, and now I think it's time for me to stand on that stage too. Thank you for leading the way. Anna held the letter to her chest. Tears spilled freely, but they were warm and healing. Keanu met her for dinner that night. They didn't talk about Hollywood or scripts or awards. They talked about silence, about childhood, about how pain shapes us but doesn't define us. Anna looked across the table and smiled. You saved me that day on set. Keanu shook his head. No, he said. I just reminded you of something you already had. What? Your voice? Anna nodded. I'm going to use it, she said. Good, Keanu replied. But not just for me. For anyone who ever froze, who ever wanted to speak, but couldn't. Keanu lifted his glass. To the ones who were learning to speak. They clinked glasses, and outside the window the city sparkled. But Anna didn't need the spotlight anymore because the light inside her was enough still. One final test was coming, one more moment, this time not her mistake, but someone else's. And the way Anna chose to respond would inspire the world one last time. The gesture they never saw coming theater was packed. Not for a movie premiere, not for an award show, but for something different. A celebration called Voices Unspoken. A new event that honored performers, students, and everyday people who had once been silenced, then found the courage to speak. Anna hadn't planned to be the main speaker. She was just supposed to introduce the first award. But when the host's mic failed, and a young girl froze in panic on stage, everything changed. Her name was Lila, 16 years old, nominated for her spoken word poem about surviving bullying. She had flown from Brazil with her mother. Full of nerves but proud, she had practiced her poem every day in the mirror. But when the spotlight hit her, when the room fell silent, and when the mic crackled and died, she froze, her lips parted. But no sound came out. The crowd waited. Seconds passed, then more. A few people shifted uncomfortably in their seats. One whispered, another checked their phone. Lila's single quotes, eyes filled with tears. She looked to the side of the stage. For help. For rescue. For escape. But she was alone, until Anna stood up. Anna didn't rush. She didn't wave her hands or cause a scene. She simply walked, calm, steady, quiet across the stage. She didn't take the broken mic. She didn't take over the spotlight. Instead, she stood beside Lila, close enough for her to feel, not in front, not behind, just beside her. And in the silence of that moment, Anna reached out and held Lila's hand. The girl turned slowly, her face streaked with tears. Anna leaned in and whispered something no one heard the words. But whatever Anna said, it worked, because Lila took a breath, closed her eyes, and then, with a voice that shook but did not break, she began to speak. No mic, no perfection, just heart. And the entire room listened, not because they were being polite, but because they felt every word. The poem was short, raw, a cry from a young girl who had once been told she was too weird, too quiet, too small to matter, and yet, here she was, filling a room with her truth. When Lila finished, the crowd stood, not in loud cheers, but in silent awe. Anna stepped back, letting her have the moment, and the cameras, those everywhere cameras, caught it all. Within hours, the clip was everywhere. Ana de Armas returns the kindness that once saved her. The quietest moment of the year, and the most powerful. She held her hand. That's it. That's all it took. People began calling it the new gesture. It's a symbol of standing beside someone, not to rescue, but to remind. Brands tried to copy it, shows tried to recreate it, but the truth couldn't be sold or rehearsed because real kindness has no script. Later that night, Keanu called. He had watched the event from home. "You did it again," he said. "Did what?" Anna asked. "You reminded the world what matters." Anna smiled. It was her voice, she said. "Not mine." "Yes," he replied. "But your hand helped her find it." Anna sat on her balcony, phoned her ear, looking at the stars. "You know what's strange?" She said softly. "What?" "I used to think forgetting my lines was the worst thing that ever happened. And now, I think it was the best." Keanu was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Sometimes, breaking is the only way. We remember how to rebuild." Anna nodded, even though he couldn't see her. "I'm going to keep showing up," she whispered. "For every Lila, for every version of who I used to be." "I know," Keanu said, "and they'll never forget it." Months passed. Anna didn't become a spokesperson. She didn't launch a brand. She didn't chase the attention. Instead, she started visiting schools, small theaters, workshops. Not to give speeches, but just to sit in the front row, quietly, and clap for the ones who needed it most. Sometimes, she held a trembling hand. Sometimes, she whispered one sentence of courage, and every time, she remembered that first moment, when she froze, when she forgot her lines, and when a quiet man placed his hand on her shoulder and changed her life without saying a word. Kindness is not loud. It doesn't always wear a spotlight. Sometimes it's just presence. A hand on a shoulder, a nod from the crowd, a whisper that says you're not alone. And Anna, she never forgot again. Not her lines, not her voice, not who she really was. And the world remembered with her.